Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Studio 78 podcast. I am your host, Nache from NacheSnow.com. That's NacheSnow.com. Thank you guys for joining me for another episode. I hope you really enjoyed last week's episode. Today is just going to be a solo episode, a quick solo episode, and just talking a little bit about like burnout, like how to prevent it, how to recognize that it's coming, and what you can do like once it does come. So if you're looking at this on YouTube, you actually see me and this is like my normal gear, just like t-shirt and just really plain Jane. But anyway, let's just talk a little bit about burnout. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is, for those of you guys who listen weekly, I have been struggling with this laryngitis that I got from like a viral infection. And it's so funny because sometimes getting sick like forces you to slow down a little bit, but it also like throws everything off, which then could cause you to kind of burn out or like get a little bit stressed. And so before we even kind of dive into that, I just want to let you guys know like kind of where I am right now. Like, so first quarter of 2018, I had like all these things that I wanted to do, right? And remember, I have a 9-to-5 job, which comes first. Everything else comes second. I do it on my nights and my weekends. So if my full-time job requires me to stay late, then I have to do it, which then means I have to push stuff that I was going to do at that night to maybe the next night or the weekend or whatever. And usually everything, works out because I do have like a lot of processes set up, and I try to do things early on in order to make sure like I'm okay no matter what. However, I think I did overextend myself a little bit in 2018. And let me just tell you guys all the things, all right? So on a personal side, back in like November or whatever, I saw that one of the local art schools was having a wood block, like a 12-week wood block printing course. So I was like, ooh, that'll be fun. Let me go ahead and sign up for that. And it started in January. So I was like, I'll do that like every Monday night. It'll be perfect. It'll be my creative outlet. But I also had planned to, of course, launch my journal. So I really finished it up and had like a good mock-up around December, early January from Ingram Sparks. And then from there, the first quarter of 2018, I plan to do like a pre-sale and then have it regularly for sale because Ingram Sparks will take care of it where it'll send it out through Amazon and Barnes & Noble and everything like that. And I don't have to think about it. But I also wanted to sell it through my site because actually I earn more revenue when it's from my site because Ingram Sparks and Barnes & Noble are getting it at like a huge discount rate, right? And so with that said, I needed to think through like, how do I sell it on my site? And do I do kids? And do I make things for kids, right? Also included, I needed to record several episodes for Studio 78 podcast because I like to kind of make sure I'm at least always like a month ahead. And so I wanted to make sure that I had enough episodes to go into the spring. But at the same time, for those of you that know me, I also have another podcast with my friend Estrell Riles, which is all about fashion trucks called Can I Park Here? And we put that on pause last year in order to allow me to work on my personal brand. But we've received so many emails asking us to bring it back that we were like, okay, well, maybe we'll do like a mini season in the beginning of the year. So not only was I interviewing for Studio 78, but I was also interviewing for Find a Fashion Truck. And know that for both shows, I do all the editing and I do all the graphics for it. So those of you who have podcasts, like editing, like if you have a 30-minute episode, it'll take like an hour of editing. And then you might take, another, X amount of time to do like the show notes and the graphics that go with it. And then setting up everything so I can post to all the major social media accounts. So it's like a lot of work. Like sometimes when you count it all up, an episode from interview to editing to posting, I would say per episode, most people probably spend 3 to 4 hours on just doing the whole thing. And so just imagine doing that, like saying like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do that for 2 podcasts. And then just generating content. Like I'm still working on like a little, I'm not sure how I want to do it yet, but it's just going to be like a helpful guide for kind of how to build your brand. And if you know me, I do like to really get into the details, like the nitty gritty, right? And so I have like this amazing outline, but right now I'm trying to figure out like, how do I pare it down and just give people like a quick guide instead of having like this 20-page book, right? And then just keeping up with social media in general is crazy because you need to kind of plan ahead when you can, especially if you have a 9 to 5, because when I post is when I'm not at work, right? So I have a very finite amount of time to post. And by the time I get home, I've lost the light. So if I want to post any good pictures, I really need to take those pictures on the weekend or days I'm off to make sure I have like some really bright, vibrant photos to post during the week. So I think that is most of the things, right? And then, thank goodness for my bullet journal. But I also like to like make sure I'm coming up with cool concepts that I could post on Instagram, just to inspire people and keep them like wanting to, do their journal. So when I came down with laryngitis, that threw me off for like 7 days. Like, even though I'm still dealing with it now, it's not like it was in the beginning because I had laryngitis from a viral infection. So I was blowing my nose all the time. It's like the cold or whatever that was like in my sinuses went down to my chest. And I just didn't feel good. So I wasn't able to go to work. And at night too, like, I wasn't able to work on my personal projects either because I just couldn't focus because I just didn't feel good. And so when something like that happens, all the things that you have lined up and planned, they get pushed, right? So when you get back to work, everything is backed up, which might make you have to stay late. And all the personal, excuse me, all the personal things that you had lined up and you wanted to do, well, of course, like that kind of stacks up too. So the last couple of weeks, I've kind of found myself like, oh my goodness, like a little bit like, okay, how am I going to like catch up and do all the things? So now let's just get to burnout. Okay, so I just wanted to give you guys like the base of why I'm doing this episode and kind of where I am, because I think sometimes people see me and they're like, oh, you got your bullet journal and you're just so organized and everything is perfect and you just have all this time to do everything. No. It takes a lot of hard work, and sometimes things fall through and sometimes I have to let things go. So this is me just kind of going, what is it? The saying, behind the curtains, is it? I don't know. I'm terrible at sayings. But anyway, so let's just talk about what burnout could look like, because burnout looks different for different people. Like some people get really stressed out. Some people get anxiety, like last week's guest talked about, even falling out, like randomly passing out, because she was dealing with anxiety and she didn't even realize it was anxiety at that time, but it was. So that's kind of like the extremes, right? Like your health suffers, like maybe mentally, physically. But sometimes burnout like sneaks up on you, right? Like you don't even realize it. Like maybe you're so burned out, like you can't get anything done because you don't know where to begin because you're paralyzed. Like, oh, what do I do? Right? Or, you're so burned out, the things that you love to do, you just don't even want to do because you feel like so overwhelmed. Burnout can also look like, um, not being able to sleep because like you're stressed about certain things. There's like a lot of different ways you could tell that you're either about to become on the brink of burnout or you're in that burnout stage. And so, but I think it's important to be able to identify like what burnout looks like to you. And so for me, burnout really looks like I'm not as efficient. Um, Maybe I start to forget things, like things that I'm normally on top of, I'm not on top of. There's a delay in doing things, missing deadlines, um, not feeling energized, or, you know, um, just wondering where to begin. Like if I sit at the computer and I think like, ugh, what should I even do first? Even though I have a list in front of me, it's not that I don't know what to do. I'm just like, oh my God, I have too much to do, right? And so, how do you fix that? So, for me, like I could tell that I'm like right on the edge, right? And a lot of it is from being sick the last couple of weeks. It totally threw my schedule off. And at the end of this week, I'm going to have like this party and I'm trying to make sure like everything is right for it, right? And working with the event planner and the people who are like sponsoring some products for it. And so, um, I'm like, okay, I need to make sure I'm in a good place and I need to just take a step back. So here's some of the things that I recommend for um, dealing with possibly getting burned out or if you're already burned out. First is like, just stop for a second. And what I like to do, this might not be for everyone. So I'm going to list a couple of things, but maybe only one or two work for you. So the first thing that I like to do is clean, which sounds so weird. But it's not like I'm like this super clean person, but that helps me getting organized, helps me clear my head. So it could be like, let's say if you have a 9 to 5, it could be like cleaning your cubicle, like really going through everything, or your office, or whatever it is. And yeah, you have all the things to do, but if you take an hour to just do that, you will feel so much better because it's going to help you start fresh. So, like, even as I'm recording this, of course, it's several days before it's going to air, but this weekend, I'm going to just clean my house. Now, I have to like do a thorough clean anyway because I have family and friends coming for the book launch event party, but it's also going to help me just clear my head. So I'm going to go and I'm going to make sure my bedroom, my office, my kitchen, like everything looks like new. Like I'm going to take, a couple of hours and really just scrub things, organize things, anything on my desk that I haven't taken care of, I'm going to take care of it. I'm usually good about mail. Like I'm the type of person when I get mail, I immediately address it. So that's another way I could tell if I'm getting a little burned out is if mail starts to pile up. So like I have like a few envelopes on my kitchen counter, so I know like, I don't even have time for my mail. Something's going on. But anywho, that's the first thing I suggest is just organizing the environment around you. Because if the environment around you looks chaotic, it is going to add to that feeling of not having control. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is figure out what you could get rid of or temporarily put on pause. So for me, when I looked at my list like a few days ago, actually it was Monday, I was supposed to go to my woodblock printing course. I had missed it the week before because that was the week that I was like really, really sick. This week I was sick, but excuse me, but I could have went, but I was like, you know what? I just need to rest. And I'm not going to be able to make it next week either. But I'm just like, it's okay. Because at first I was beating myself up. I'm like, I've paid this money for this course. I'm not going to attend for 3 weeks in a row. The teacher's probably going to think I'm flaky. And I'd sent her an email last week telling her I was sick, but I'm going to send her an email this week just letting her know, like, hey, I'm not going to be back until X date, right? But, it's like, it's okay. If I need to let something go in order to like take care of myself and make space for other things, then I need to do that. So that was the first thing. And then the second thing, and I was talking to my friend Estrell, is the Can I Park Here podcast. And I was like, I know we were telling everybody that we were going to air in February, but I'm just like, I need a little bit of time. Like maybe we could do March or April instead, and people are going, it's like, it's going to be okay. Like if people have to wait a month or two to get those fresh new episodes, it's like, it's not the end of the world, right? Like I don't need to like really kill myself to get these episodes out. And so that was the other thing that I did. And then I also had like several projects that I wanted to just work on for NacheSnow.com. And I was like, you know what? Focus on just the event and marketing the book. And then once you have that down, then I told myself, then you can focus on these other products that you want to offer like your audience. But don't try to do everything because something is going to fall through, So I think, realizing what you need to let go. And in that same vein, it's realizing what to say no to. Okay. So if some opportunities come up or people want to go out or whatever, and you don't have the capacity to do it, then say no. Only say yes to the things that will energize you and make sense for your life right now. And the third thing is just to forgive yourself. I think a lot of times we feel guilty for like dropping the ball on certain things. We feel like we're not good enough or that we're disappointing people or that we should have been better. And the thing is, it's like we're human, okay? So my thing is like forgive yourself and figure out like how to proceed and then go from there. Don't look back. Don't continue to try to kill yourself. Don't continue to beat yourself up. Forgive yourself and move on. All right? And then, the last thing I'll just say is once you kind of reevaluated everything, realize what you should say no to, what you should, put to the side. Once you've like forgiven yourself, all that other good stuff, then, figure out what you're going to focus on for the next 4 weeks. And make sure this time you give yourself enough space, right? So for me, that's one of the things that I'm doing this weekend that I'm recording this, is really looking at all the things and spacing things out a little bit more in order to give me the capacity to do what I need to do without feeling a little overwhelmed. And of course, it was unforeseen circumstances like getting sick that really threw everything off. But you know what? Sometimes you need to plan for that too and make sure that you can pivot and turn without things really burning you out. So anyway, I hope you guys found this episode to be somewhat helpful. And my voice, I know, is still messed up. So I'm hoping that you guys can hear me clear enough. I'm hoping in a week it'll be regular again. If you are in the DC area, go to nachesnow.com/book signing. On March 3rd, I'm having an event and I'm really excited about it. It's just going to be like a good networking event. Just meet other folks that are really good people, have some good food, have a glass of wine. It's funny, I don't even drink, but I'm going to have wine for you guys. And and just really have a good time. I'm thinking of like some manifestation exercises we can have. We're going to have a few swag bags there. We're going to have like a raffle. But I just want it to be where we just all get together and just say hello in person, and just network a little bit. So if you are in the DC area, please come out. All right. That is it, folks. And as always, if you get a chance, please rate me 5 stars on iTunes. Also, please remember to subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or YouTube. And if you haven't already, please check out my YouTube account. I put all the podcast episodes on there. And when I have time, I also put some of my craft projects on there and some other things. So I even have like ideas about that, right? Like I know it's just too much, but I, taking my own advice, I'm like, when I'm able to get to it, I'll get to it. And because I'm taking my time and not rushing things or burning myself out, then what I create and what I do will turn out to be better, a better product. So yeah. So take care of yourself. And I hope you guys are having a beautiful morning, noon, or night, wherever you're listening from. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about this episode. So please comment at nachesnow.com/47 or send me a message on Instagram. All right. Take care.